Hey, hey! Holy cow! This ball's got a chance. It could be. It is the Shawn Mackey Show. Season 2. No, crap. We are on Season 3, Episode 2. God, I got so confused there for a moment. I do got to say I dropped the dang ball with our last episode, the Season 3 premiere. I put that episode together. I edited it and I added in some cool little names scrolling up over here as guys I was talking about. And then I had created a new intro graphic prior to doing that as preparation for the show and the new season. And then I went to use the photo in the edit, and when I blew it up, it cut everything off, and I didn't create the original photo big enough, I guess. So I had to take some extra time to create a new photo. And what had happened was I went into the edits, I think, when I went to get it out again, and I guess I just made an entirely new one, thinking it was the original, where I was just going to upload the new photo and re-export it for perusal on YouTube and Spotify. And turns out, I guess I created an entire new one. So the promises I made about the graphics and the new stuff and everything, and it didn't happen last week, and I apologize, but that's all right. 'Tis a new week. 'Tis a new week. Look, I don't pretend to be this money bags of a guy who can put together this whole super studio and have people do editing. And I mean, I'm doing this all on my own with a full-time job. You know what I'm saying? So it gets a little bit, but I love doing it. I love being back here. I love recording, putting the opinions out there for y'all. Sooner or later, y'all got to start commenting, and maybe we can have some discussions, as long as they stay on the, good side of things. Like, let's just discuss shit, right? I got to tell you, so we're moving in Season 3. This is that time where I would focus on the Cubs, but there's been so much happening in Chicago Bears land that, for this early spring, we're going to kind of get that news out there to you whenever we can. I guess one of the big things when I'm putting videos together, I should attempt to teach myself not to talk so much with my hands, as it could be a distraction. That's right, man. It's a distraction. I don't even know what you're saying. I can't hear when I'm looking at your hands move all crazy like. Anyway, so spring training for me, especially in Major League Baseball, is a time to where I got nothing but stats. You watch guys play, you see the games. They play so many games. You're playing split squads. You're playing, you got a bunch of guys in that you invited to and are in spring training. So you want to try to get a good enough look at as many people as you can, especially those guys that you sign to where you're thinking that they're going to help out your major league ball club. I know in last episode, we talked a little bit about the Cubs signings, Phil Maton, Dylan Carlson. Dylan Carlson, I think right now statistically, and here, this is what I was going to say, spring training, it's stats. I look at the stats. Stats can be a byproduct of performance, and stats give you hope or concern as you progress to opening day. And I put a post on Facebook and, just kind of trying to promote and tweak the show, get some little feeler, just get people interested and eventually talk about it a little bit more, in which I said, are these spring training tweaks or cause for concern? Are guys going to be in for a long season? I talked about Jameson, Taillon's 19.5 ERA and Shota, both guys giving up home runs. And again, when you look at guys, they signed Dylan Carlson, Chas McCormick, Michael Conforto, 3 guys vying for possibly one outfield spot. I know they moved Matt Shaw to the outfield after the Alex Bregman signing, and I think he's having a pretty good spring too. We're going to look at that here in a minute. But good stats give me cause for hope. Poor stats give me cause for concern. Jameson, Taillon, he's been okay, been dependable the last 2 seasons, 12-8 and then 11-7, right? Coming, 4-year deal, 5-year deal, whatever he had. Is he a guy who can be relied upon? I mean, between now, today, March 14th, and the beginning of the season, does he knock that ERA down some in his last few tweaks or outings before the season actually starts? Or does that number continue to climb? Does he give up fewer home runs toward the end of the spring here? Same thing with Shota. Shota, to me, I see a cause for concern this spring. And I know stats do not matter. I mean, I agree to that wholeheartedly. They only matter when you get to the regular season. But again, stats to me could be some cause for concern. Stats for me could be cause for some hope. Still don't know, right? But it's okay to bring it up and talk about it. Maybe discuss things instead of commenting on posts with words that can be construed as, people don't know what they're talking about or just dismissing, I guess. And I'll be honest with you on this podcast. I'm hoping you're catching it on YouTube, Spotify. I do use the social media to promote it, but it's going to be very difficult for me to build this up and promote it because I'm not the greatest and the best at being an active participant, even on my own social media. And it's honestly, I've seen nothing but pretty decent positivity from places like TikTok and Instagram. I don't get on X all that often. It's really the Facebook. The best place to me to promote my short clips, to promote this show is Facebook, because they get a lot of good views and everything. But if that really doesn't translate into people sitting down watching the entire episode and providing constructive criticism or asking things or making comments that spark a conversation, that it really doesn't matter. So I also don't like commenting a lot on posts because I'm part of a lot of groups. I get a lot of information from them. I do love to read the comments because it's just a bowl of popcorn away from being a great feature show sometimes. And that's why I don't like to get involved, because even if you go in with the greatest of intentions is of just providing how you feel on a subject or your opinion, and you feel like you're posting something innocently enough, there's always going to be some jackass out there who's going to tag you and call you an idiot or do this. And it's not a thin-skinned thing. It's just, I don't have time for the bullshit. I got enough bullshit going on everywhere else. I just don't need it on the social medias. I just kind of go there to look at pictures and laugh at comedians and read comments when I'm bored and laugh at people. Notice I paused there and left the word stupid out, but that's one of the gripes I have. So, I just keep doing it the way I'm doing it, and sooner or later, there will people out there watch my videos and be like, this guy's spot on. I kind of agree with this dude. Let me keep watching. I'll even share this for him. And that's where we're going to end up. So, but I do have concern for Jameson, Taillon, and for Shota. His spring stats, he's 1-1. He's got a 6.48 ERA. Pitched 8.1 innings, 5 strikeouts with a 1.44 whip. But he's given up a couple of home runs this spring as well. But again, getting back to Dylan Carlson and Michael Conforto, Dylan Carlson's having a pretty good year, right? But I think this spring, one other guy you're seeing having a pretty good year is Matt Shaw. So this is the one that confuses me, because the way they were approaching it last season was he was the future at third base. Struggled a little bit at the plate. So then they go out and sign Alex Bregman, and now he's kind of odd man out in the infield. He still could. He's been playing some first base this spring. So they're trying to looking at Matt Shaw as kind of a utility player. So, if you invested in him and he was supposed to be your guy, you got to figure he's going to make the roster this spring in 30 at bats, 10 hits. So he's hitting 333, 2 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, and he's got a knock, a dinger. So he's kind of making a case for himself now at the plate this spring. And that's where an instance gives me cause for hope. Right? So Michael Conforto has a little bit less action. He's only got 20 at bats, but he's got 6 hits. He's hitting 300. So here's a guy who's going to be in the mix. Right now, I'm thinking maybe Chas McCormick is the odd man out here, struggling a little bit at the plate, 222 average this spring. But it all depends on what you feel each of those 3 guys brings to the table that sets one of them apart. And that's the guy you put on your roster. Do the other guys stick around in the minor leagues just in case? Or are they at the points in their career where they opt out because maybe injury happens, God forbid it doesn't, but that maybe a spot opens up at the major league level for one of those other 2 guys? Maybe they figure out a way to keep all 3. I don't know. I've never been a big Ian Happ fan. He's coming out the end of his contract. And honestly, the way I grew up in the old time era, mostly of baseball, left field to me is one of those corner outfield power spots. And he's a great Gold Glover and he hits from both sides of the plate. But I just don't see the power numbers that I feel should be there as a left fielder. But again, someone might say, oh, that shit doesn't matter what Ian Happ brings. But what does Ian Happ bring to the table? How many games over the course of his career has he literally single-handedly defeated an opponent or carried a series for you or just hit lights out in the clutch? I'm not going to go back and break it all down for the last 4 or 5 years. That's, again, my eyeballs. That's what I see. That's my opinion. But you're not going to get rid of a guy like Ian Happ, not on the last year of a pretty good deal that you gave him a few years ago for the likes of Carlson, Conforto, or McCormick. So who knows what's going to happen with the Cubs this season. So we're getting closer to opening day. A few of the Cubs players are playing in the World Baseball Classic. What a debacle that could have been earlier this week had Team USA not made it because of what I took as Mark DeRosa's complete and absolute blunders managing that ball club. Not to take anything away from him as a ball player, but sometimes managing is an art form and a science, and he didn't go to science class all too much before taking over the team here for the World Baseball Classic. They did defeat Canada yesterday, so they're moving on. We'll see what happens as that series progresses. I'm not a big fan of the World Baseball Classic, and I'm very curious as to how, if they do end up using professional Major League Baseball players in an Olympics, you're going to have to postpone the season and then hope and beyond hope that your guys don't come back and have to have a stint on the IL. I know the White Sox lost a catcher. I think his name was Ryan Teal. Medium grade hamstring strain, I think I read, and he's going to be out 4 to 6 months possibly. So that's the majority of this season gone. All for the tournament that is the World Baseball Classic. Knock on wood, thankfully, right now. Hey, knock on the wood there, Sonny. No major injuries as of yet. Team USA still in it. Canada knocked out. I think Jameson, Taillon was pitching for Canada, so he's out of the Classic. He'll be back to spring training here within a day or two, if not already there. Hey, I talked about the Phil Maton signing with the Cubs, and he's like a local guy from around this area, and we're all kind of proud of him over here, and I like the signing and the deal, but man, let's talk about another Central Illinois guy. Whoo, let me pull this cat up here. Sam Antonacci. He's been around since last year in the Chicago White Sox organization. Looks like here he got into one game, one at bat. He has an RBI, 2 base on balls in 2025. No average. 2026 so far in the spring, hitting about 308, but he went to SHG, which is Sacred Heart Griffith here in the Springfield area. And he's another one of these kids that's from around this area. And he's with the Chicago White Sox. I don't know who he grew up a fan of. Not like I knew that from Phil Maton signing with the Cardinals last year and learning that he was grew up a Cardinal fan. So I wish I had a little bit more here on the bio. I apologize. A little bit of a disruption in the show. Not really. I'm talking about a guy from around this area. I wanted to give a plug and a shout out to. Playing for Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic. That's how I got onto it. Has hit a couple of home runs out there. Has had made some spectacular plays for Team Italy. And he's showing his baseball intelligence to the Chicago White Sox. And hey, we'll have to wait and keep our eye on this kid, Sam Antonacci. All right. So that's, we still got a lot of spring training left to go with the Cubs. I kind of wanted to get my opinions out there about the social media stuff of that nature. Wasn't as big of a rant as I thought I was going to go on, but I kind of kept it to specific to what I've been experiencing with the show. Again, this is season 3, and I'm still tweaking things for y'all. I still don't know if intros and outros are working all that well. I got to build up some decent statistics. As far as my studio goes, I don't have that professional looking backdrop as if I had like Oprah money and stuff. I'm not going to build something like that. I'm kind of just giving you a glimpse into my life, my little knickknacks and my background. A salute to my children. I'm a dad. I'm a husband, So this is where and I bring this up because Apple Podcasts is going to start supporting video. And so I'm part of these podcast groups, and you start seeing people put comments out or articles, and you get on these mailing lists and these tips and tricks and everything. And they're talking about people want professional quality videos. And this kind of goes hand in hand with my social media things that I see. So it seems to me that people on the social media prefer the fake, made up, staged videos. There's a shit ton of them that get a shit ton of views, and there's a lot of people who have become influencers and are semi-famous working on their 15 minutes of fame, and it's all staged, made up crap. They like the AI crap. And that's the other thing. I'm getting tired of seeing news articles for my favorite sports teams that make me think they signed and players are leaving and this and that. And you got to do further research. But that's what I'm here to tell you. You see shit on the Facebook, find your own research and confirm it or deny it. Because all the fake shit seems to be what everybody wants. So I'm going to stay back here doing my show, the Shawn Mackey Show, as a rebel of sorts. And I ain't staging shit. I ain't making shit up. I ain't going out there and putting fake stuff together. If I see something or I come up with something that I think is funny, I'll make a little face top video or something, but I'm not going to stage things any longer. I did a couple of them in the very beginning of my social media endeavors, and they didn't do so well. And I don't got the time to sit down and write scripts for every damn little 5-minute, 2-second, 30-second video that I want to create and make. So when I do post them and I do post up and I do my podcast, it's me, baby, in the raw. Well, not that kind of raw. That's not the kind of raw. All right. It's me unedited. The show should have been opinionated, unedited, unfiltered, unpredictable. Fuck. All of that. Because that's just me in a nutshell, and that's what you're all going to get. So now I want to transition into the Bears. They've lost a bunch of guys. They've picked up a bunch of guys. They made a trade. They had to because their center retires. Their Pro Bowl center, Drew Dalman, retires 1 year into a 3-year contract at the ripe old age of 27 years old. 5-year career. I got feels about that. The dude accomplished everything he set out to accomplish on the football field, and he's got money, and he's set for life, and he's got a goal and a plan for the future, and he wants to get out partially unscathed with no major injuries and concerns. I say good for you. Get out while you can, you know? The game is brutal. I played for many years. I've talked about it on the show. I never played at the same level Drew Dalman did. I played at the semi-professional level, but it doesn't take away of battering into guys that size and bigger than me all the time, every week for 10 years after playing for 4 years in high school and 2 years in elementary school, and realizing at some point in your life you played this game for 22 years and I didn't even accomplish half the shit that Drew Dalman did. And I'm beat to hell, and I sometimes wish I would have never played that long. I don't know, though. If I got dropped back to being a 20-year-old, but I still had my 50-some-year-old knowledge, I'd probably still suit it up. You know? So, kind of sucks for the Bears, but they had to go out, and they had to make a trade, and they do so. Excuse me. They trade for Garrett Bradbury. So played with Joe Thuney in college, I believe. Familiar face for him. So they wasted no time to go after getting a center. Some of the free agent signings: safety Kobe Bryant, linebacker Devin Bush, defensive tackle Neville Gallimore, wide receiver Khalif Raymond, DB Cam Lewis, defensive end Contavious Street, and offensive tackle Jedrick Willis Jr. Now, to me, I don't know, the whole Devin Bush, Tremaine Edmonds scenario, I don't know what's going on here. So I've talked about it on other episodes of the show. Poles started building this defense before they picked up Ben Johnson, before they had Caleb Williams. I don't know. Did you overpay for Tremaine Edmonds a couple of years ago to the point where in the last year of his contract, you had to let him go? He ends up signing for 3 years, $30 million or something like that, and they go out and sign Devin Bush for 3 years, 30 some odd million. It's very similar. They're about the same age. I think they're both 27 years old. One's been in the league since 2018, Tremaine Edmonds, and Devin Bush has been in the league since 2019. Edmonds plays for 2 teams, Bush for 3. But here, I think Devin Bush has one season last year, 2025, to where he stands out more. He had 3 interceptions last year for 164 yards and 2 TDs. So that's the key difference between him and Tremaine Edmonds that I see here. But statistically, I mean, the way I'm looking at this, other than the yards on defensive interception returns, I mean, I feel like it's the same guy. You had Tremaine Edmonds. You know what he can do. Yeah, he came off a little bit of an injury last year, but you went out and found his replacement, or at least another linebacker, depending on how you may shift over in the scheme and everything. But to me, it feels like it's the same guy. And that's the other thing is I don't get this whole free agency. It looked like the Bears are building something. We as fans are thinking of the what ifs down the road, 1, 2, 3 seasons. We had some team in place. We had some things. But yes, defensively, the Bears dropped off the last 2 seasons with the guys that they ended up letting walk away. So, again, what happens in 2 years with everybody you let go this year and you pick up, if you're not yet quite there to the Super Bowl caliber team that you want to be, you got to rebuild it again. I mean, you're going into year 3 of Caleb Williams. He's going to come off that rookie contract. He's going to, at this point, and I wasn't on his bandwagon at the very beginning, but the kid's going to command some money. And then if you don't have the team in place, this should be a long this is supposed to be, and I'll go back and I'm not going to show you the research. You all can find it yourself, but Ryan Poles said this was supposed to be a long-term plan. And right now it doesn't look like to me that it is a long-term plan. I like some of the signings they did this offseason. Some of them just seem to be you traded one similar guy for the other. Jaquan Brisker is gone, signs with his hometown Steelers. All the guys, Johnson, Brisker, Bayard. I heard the team wanted Bayard back, but he decided to go in another direction, which is weird because you hear throughout the season the love they have for the Bears and they want to see something magical happen and build something. But then they all walked away for 1 year. And that's, again, some of those guys, most of those guys, the Bears didn't want back. And that's fine. But those are the guys you started with and you built with, and you're telling yourself it didn't work. So you're back to the drawing board. I mean, again, I'm old enough to know, and I look back at the 85 Bears, that didn't happen. 85 didn't happen because of 85. 85 started happening in 83 and 84. And it built to the 85 Bears and winning that Super Bowl. And then they were still into the divisional rounds in the NLCS. Jesus Christ, I was just on the baseball. In the championship series, and they still were playing at a pretty good high level for 2 or 3 years after that. Now, they should have won more than one Super Bowl. They didn't for various reasons. But as a unit, that defense still, you're looking at probably a 5 or 6 year period where they led the entire league in sacks as a unit and were just pretty damn dominant. And that's what I want to see. Look, a defensive town, monsters of the Midway, and an elite running back. That's kind of what we're known for. And defensively, are these guys that they sign going to be the pieces needed in place? I read somewhere that they said Jaquan Brisker wasn't a fit for Dennis Allen's defense. And honestly, that's the first time I ever heard a safety being, which I guess in the realm, depending what you play defensively, if, you don't need his style as safety, then yeah, he doesn't fit. But when I hear guys don't fit in a defensive scheme, I usually think more defensive linemen or linebacker sets. I just figured those safeties are supposed to be athletic enough that, if they're used to playing in one kind of defensive scheme, but you need them to play in a different one, just teach them how to play in that one, and just then they should be good to go. But again, I can say that for linebackers and defensive linemen too. So I think Tremaine Edmonds and Devin Bush are the same kind of guy. The Bears re-signed Braxton Jones, which puzzles me a little bit. You did re-sign, oh crap, I'm blanking on the dude's name. Benedette, again, and you're bringing him back to the fold. I know Ozzie Trapilo is going to need some time to recover from the knee injury, but it seems now like Jedrick Wilson Jr. and Braxton Jones are going to fight it out for that left tackle spot. I've never been a fan of Braxton Jones. Apparently the Bears see something in him. Maybe the parts I saw that I didn't like were because he was injured and now he should be fully healthy and good to go. Brought back Jordan McFadden. This is another guy. I know it's insurance on the offensive line. But again, when I see his name, I think back to them moving and sliding Thuney out to left tackle and bringing McFadden in for the playoffs and breaking up the continuity of that offensive line. Yes, Benedette struggled. Maybe you felt the game was too important. But I think if you keep Thuney at guard for that game, a couple of plays go a little bit differently and the Bears win. I mean, McFadden only played about 5 snaps prior to that start last season. So that was kind of a questionable move for me. They brought back Case Keenum, and this brings up an interesting little tidbit because apparently people have been out asking for Bagent. Bears don't want to get rid of Bagent. And then they feel Bagent's a little bit worth more than what people are offering. So the fact that they're bringing Case Keenum back into the fold, and I think they signed him to like a 2-year deal, maybe tells me they're getting ready to move on from Bagent, which is fine. I was a Bagent guy. I liked Bagent. I don't think, quarterbacks, it's not an end-all be-all if they can't throw the ball 80 yards downfield. You need guys, pocket passers that can make quick decisions, get rid of the ball when necessary, don't take unnecessary sacks, and can complete on a timing basis and know and trust in his receivers. And that's what I kind of saw from Bagent in the limited action that we got to see of him a couple of years ago. So I think he has the talent and the skills. And if teams are out there looking for him and they want to trade for him, he has to ask himself, are they looking at and wanting to trade for me to be a solid backup? Or am I going into a situation where I'll be able to possibly start? And I'd like to see the kid start for a full season. Maybe that happens and we get to see that. And maybe he proves me right. Maybe he proves me wrong. I don't know. DeMarco Jackson's back. I felt he had some pretty solid games last season when there were injuries to the Bears linebackers. So we just have to see how that plays out. Elijah Hicks, Daniel Hardy, great special teams player. And again, I already mentioned Jordan McFadden. So I did want to kind of get in there and get my thoughts in about, like, I'm not hitting you with any of the stats. I'm just letting you know and delivering the news to you, which you all have seen, you're fans, and that's great. Again, I kind of want to be consistent with the show and get another episode out there. And I'm going to work on the things I think I need to work on, like what the hell do I do with these hands? Why are they flying all over the place? Holy crap. Maybe I should do a stand-up show and just rub my hands and hold something in my hands like other hosts I see. That's maybe why some of those guys have the papers. Like, do I got any papers back here? I can just sit here and hold some papers and make you think that I'm reading my notes. Maybe I just start doing that so it gives me something to do. I don't know. But you'll see some cool graphics in this video this week, and they should find their way right up about there. And I do apologize for last week's episode. There was an editing blunder, and I hope that doesn't happen in the future. But the big part of the problem and the reason is the other computer crapped out, and I actually had to take some extra time, and some of my files are still on the other computer. I can get to them. It didn't crap out. It crapped out for what I needed it to do. So we still have it, but I haven't had time to get the things that I need fully from that computer and get it onto the new computer, because I spent a lot of time getting the new computer set up. And so I kind of just been flying, baby, by the seat of them drawers. You know what I'm saying? That's all the time I'm going to share with you this week. I'll see you when I see you. Peace. Hey, if I made you laugh, made you think, or even made you smile, please tell all your friends. If I didn't, just keep that shit to yourself. Thanks for listening to the Shawn Mackey Show.